My lords, today I bring you a report on an empire who, amidst violence and hardship, was unified by a single leader. They became a fierce advocate for science and technological advancement, and they managed to morph and shape both themselves and their empire into quite something. The man's name is lost to history, but his title was Emperor, and I shall detail the account of their rise for you now. Further to this, there is an announcement at the end of the report. Please stay tuned in. Our civilization has always been prone to conflict. Empires and kingdoms rise, but never lasted, always collapsing under the pressure of internal strife. This culture of polarization climaxed when our world was consumed by war. Amidst chaos, a leader emerged. The Emperor managed to assemble a gathering of followers who were drawn to his selflessness, charisma, and authority. Finally, someone was poised to unite us. The unification was a long and painful process, but one after another, the warring factions eventually surrendered and fell in line, cowed by the Emperor's promises of a future amongst the stars. For the first time in centuries, we had peace, but under the surface, the scars of old grievances ran deep. The promise. The Emperor put an end to our internal strife and brought about the unification. He came to power on a platform of patriotic unity and imperialism, promising to lead us into the stars and create a grand galactic empire. Today, however, our people grow impatient and dissident. Voices question the leadership's ability. The Council has prepared several 40-year plans with the hope that they will put these doubts to rest and propel us into the next stage of our species. We better get to work. With only a few years since we discovered the hyperlane network, we now claim our first colony. This is the first step towards fulfilling the Emperor's promise. The colony ship has been permanently converted into the administrative headquarters of our new settlement. Work has begun to reconnect its reactor core to the power grid to supply the growing colony with energy. As the colonists disembark in large numbers, makeshift dwellings and shelters have been erected around the former starship's massive hull. These will form the basis of what will one day be our first city on our new world of Cardor Prime. The new cities built on Cardor Prime are certainly a sight to behold. Through grit and determination, the colonists have managed to thrive on the new world. The citizens of this new world have decided to show their loyalty by erecting a monument to honour the Emperor. The Emperor, however, is not a deity, and has decreed that they should focus on something more practical to help the planet progress. Suddenly, every state-owned screen across the Empire was interrupted to broadcast an official communication from Cardor Prime itself. The Emperor stood in front of a veiled monument and began to give a speech. Today, we have made history. Never before has our species realized a grander achievement. The people here want to honor me, but they are the true heroes of our society. I am but a servant of our nation, and thanks to them, we take another step forward towards a brighter future. 40 years have now passed, and the Emperor again appeared on every screen across the Empire. The population calmly waited for the address to begin. In the message that followed, the Emperor regaled his people with praise and told stories about select individuals' accomplishments, including his own. He went on to give a list of what they had accomplished together, one glorious success after another, building up to a promise of an even greater future. His original promise 40 years ago had been fulfilled. But what lay ahead? Despite the Emperor's great work, there was still much to be done. The Empire consisted of conflicting factions, and the population was united only through the constant effort of the Emperor. Although the Emperor did not wish to change the post-unification government, a new, more direct approach could remedy some of these problems. On the other hand, such a decision may encounter significant opposition. However, it was eventually decided that the Emperor would proclaim imperial rule. Only by granting unlimited power to him could we hope to rule the stars. From now on, the Emperor would have absolute authority over the Council. May his rule be long and fruitful. This news, of course, spread like wildfire. A few official signatures later, and a grand coronation ceremony was broadcast throughout the empire. The majority of the people seem happy that the emperor will have full control of the state, and while the mood remains festive, there do appear to be a few unspoken questions and uncertainties remaining. His ideological opponents have formed a powerful political bloc, and they are calling their supporters to gather in peaceful protests as what they see as unilateral changes enacted by the emperor. This group argues that we are straying from the path set after the unification wars, and they call upon the emperor to repeal these imperial reforms. It would appear that dissidence is on the rise. Several more months have now passed, and a secretive group calling themselves the Forgotten has outright accused the emperor of tyranny. They claim that our government no longer represents the will of the people, only the interests of a select few. Their trust in the emperor has seemingly waned, and they have brought forward evidence of dissenters who have suddenly disappeared after criticizing the regime. The repeated message is beginning to sow doubts in the minds of our citizens. Our judiciaries have reviewed the evidence, and it does appear that the emperor has indeed lied, or at least concealed the truth to the council and the population at large. Apparently, he had signed several contracts with powerful stakeholders promising many things that could not realistically be delivered upon. Today, the Forgotten made themselves the voice of all of those who have been tricked by the emperor, and now calling for our government to transfer power back to the council and to the people. In a further attempt to smear the great emperor's reputation, secret documents have been leaked by an anonymous party. This treasonous act has poured oil into the political fires that were already threatening to consume our government. The Forgotten are obvious prime suspects, but they do appear innocent, and we cannot find any proof of their involvement. I suspect unrest over the next few weeks. It would appear that enough is enough. The political situation has escalated out of control as agitators continue to fan the flames of revolution. The emperor's refusal to back down has ignited an empire-wide wave of violent protest. The casualties are mounting, and left with no other choice, the emperor ordered the opposition to be crushed by any means necessary. In his own words, "We shall eliminate the traitors." Once more the emperor appeared on every screen across the empire, and the population waits for the address to begin. Today marks a great victory, but it has not been brought without sacrifice. Our enemies have been destroyed, yet the sting of their betrayal makes my heart bleed. In their selfishness, they sought to destroy us all, but in the end, they were no match for our collective strength. Soon, they will be executed for their crimes. We have prevailed. Roughly 3 years passed since the protests and the elimination of what the emperor called traitors. The last 3 years have been relatively uneventful. We continue to expand the empire and are mostly at peace. However, I fear that that is all about to change. Today is a day marked with tragedy. The emperor's daughter is dead. We are yet to determine the cause of the death, but preliminary reports suggest simple natural causes. The emperor has been struck hard by the loss of his progeny. A period of national mourning has been decreed, and we await full results of the investigation into the cause of the emperor's daughter's death. Within as little as a week, it would appear that the emperor's state of mind is not improving. Despite every evidence pointing towards a natural death, the emperor refuses to accept it. The death of his heir has greatly affected him, and orders have been sent across the territories. Those responsible for this cowardly assassination will be found. Security forces are already conducting sweeps to root out the dissenters. The level of violence that has accompanied these arrests have shocked many of our citizens. Protests announcing the abuse of power and demanding a new wave of government reforms have erupted once again. For the first time in our history, the majority of the planet's population is now against the rule of the emperor. I feel events could get serious quite quickly. It saddens me to report that the emperor has ordered a large-scale cleansing on one of our planets. Apparently there is a supposed reformist holdout, but we have no firm evidence available to us that suggests so. We must just trust his word. It fell to the military to undertake this, which they did, despite their misgivings. Furthermore, the emperor has discovered that one of our leaders is plotting against him. The proper course is to execute the traitor, but again the evidence is scarce. Nevertheless, the emperor was obeyed, and this traitor was executed, live on state television. Several more months of conflict has passed, and the time has now come to resolve our differences and talk about how we could end this ridiculous revolt. The emperor himself is calling for a ceasefire in the hope to negotiate with the reformists. All hostilities have ceased as everyone awaits the outcome of the negotiations. I hope that it is the time for the emperor to retake the helm of the state, supported by all the people. Blessed with the heritage of the luminary, the emperor still remains a magnetic figure. However, with the increasing power of the reformist faction, a fully fledged civil war does loom on the horizon. The emperor has issued a call to negotiations, and it reports that the early negotiations have been tense. Representatives from all corners of the empire have made their demands before listening to our emperor's official statement, which listed the concessions that he may accept. However, now, on the eve of negotiation, it has become clear that the parties would never come to an agreement. Even now, rebel forces amass. War has been declared, and once more, our nation is standing divided. Civil war is tearing through our empire, but despite the number of dissenters, it was clear that only one side would be victorious. And now, as the embers of civil strife fade away, a new society is rising from the ashes. This one is concrete in its belief in the emperor. They know that he's ready to carry the spark of his wisdom to the stars. We have a new motto: one country, one luminary, one future. The emperor again appears on every screen across the empire. Fellow citizens, today I want you to know that I am filled with pride. As a people, we have come together and despite our differences, ventured into the unknown. We have built new worlds and reached new heights of ingenuity. I want to acknowledge your sacrifice. And suddenly, the emperor staggered out of view. The news didn't take long to spread across the population. Our emperor was dying. The cause of the mysterious illness remains unknown. Thank the shroud, it does not appear to be immediately terminal. For now, the emperor can remain at their post. However, unorthodox methods will be necessary to extend our leader's life by any significant amount of time. We are exploring every possible avenue to save the emperor's life. With the emperor's health quickly failing, our best medical minds have devised several unorthodox solutions. An elaborate apparatus could be built directly inside of the council chambers, and by granting this machine control over many of the emperor's natural processes, we believe we can keep him alive indefinitely. There is an alternative that our geneticists have devised. They believe that through incredibly expensive clone bodies made to house the emperor, we could effectively make him immortal by moving his consciousness from clone to clone. He would, however, still be vulnerable in his clone body. So, we decided to build this apparatus, which not only would grant him immortality, but it would make him almost invulnerable. This would have the cost of making him immobile, but never again will he be threatened. The procedure was long and arduous. For the emperor, the pain must have been excruciating, but the results now speak for themselves. He is now installed in this mysterious apparatus. No trace remains of the ruler's mysterious illness. We are grateful to have him. However, those close to the emperor have noticed his mannerisms and mood have subtly changed. For now, the leader must remain in the palace, but the plan does exist to move the apparatus should the unthinkable happen, and our capital is overrun by our enemies. Not long after recovering from their procedure, a grand celebration was held on the capital. The emperor gave a speech thanking citizens and scientists, and he spoke of the bright and prosperous future that we have planned for our empire. A timeless and immortal emperor shall lead us forward. Well, my lords, it appears that this empire managed to create some sort of immortal leader through archaic, Dark Age technology. I wonder where I've heard that before. Thanks for watching, folks. For those of you who are interested, I am launching a second YouTube channel, one focused on Warhammer 40k stories. There is a link in the description and the pinned comment. If you enjoy Warhammer, then I encourage you to go and check it out. There are some fantastic stories to tell. As ever, I thank you for the support, and I hope to see you in the next video.